direction. For doing that doesn't stop, download the Home Depot app. It's made for doing.
Why always the couch? Does he need to go to puppy school? Get his little puppy diploma? How much have I been spending on this little guy?
When your questions about life turn into questions about money, there's Erica, the virtual financial assistant to help you spend, save, and plan smarter. Only from Bank of America. What would you like the power to do?
Welcome out. I've just witnessed a fabulous British Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton ending a 56 race streak without a win. The last one, Saudi Arabia 2021, and a 9th win at Silverstone, record at a single circuit. Hugely emotional for everybody involved, and I should imagine emotions of a different kind from George Russell, who started on pole but didn't finish because of that water problem. Let's hear from him now.
So sorry to see you at this stage of the race. What more can you tell us? How early were you aware of the problem?
Yeah, I mean, probably about 10 laps before I had to retire, I saw temperature alarms coming on my steering wheel and, yeah, some sort of water cooling failure. So, yeah, I don't really know what to say. I mean, the car was feeling so good. I knew it was going to be a long race. Struggled a bit around the damp patches, but yeah, it's very gutted.
Obviously, the lead of the race has changed hands many times. Just tell us about the conditions out there, how hard they were.
Yeah, I mean, Lewis is doing a great job at the moment, so fingers crossed he can bring it home, because for us as a team, it's been an amazing weekend, regardless of what happens here on in. Yeah, it's very difficult out there with the rain coming and going, but yeah, it's disappointing.
Such a roller coaster week. I mean, it's crazy to think only 7 days ago you were on the top step. Now you've had to retire the car. It could be cruel sport, can't it?
Yeah, that's racing. Cheers.
Not long to go racing again. Absolutely. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, we are indeed. Poor old George. Just not his day in the end.
No, you take it. You take it sometimes when, like last race, he got the win easy. A bit lucky here, very unlucky. In front of your home crowd, starting in pole position. But I mean, it felt like the race was anyone's in the top 4, didn't it?
It really did. I mean, I don't think we see any racing from anybody else today. It was just focused on that, wasn't it? I mean, I quite rightly.
Yeah, it was an amazing race. And George was so good in certain conditions, but then struggled when it started getting damp. I don't know if he tightened up a little bit. He's in front of his home crowd. This is a big deal for him, and Lewis is just so used to that pressure and was able to overtake him.
Yeah, I mean, it was lap 19, I think it was, where he dropped 2 places there. I just wondered about that. I mean, I mean, we know how good Lewis is. We've seen it so often in the wet. They all are these days, but George didn't have the answers there, did he?
Not in that very moment. I think Lewis just got the better of him in that moment, but ultimately it was actually the McLarens in that moment that had the most grip out there. They seemed a lot more comfortable than the Mercedes did. So I wonder if they were running their setup slightly a little bit softer. They clearly had more grip than the others did. But I think, years and years of experience, it's so sad to hear Lewis questioning himself. I mean, he's the greatest of all time of our sport, and he's asking himself the question, will he be there again? But the confidence comes back instinctively in those moments. I mean, you've done it time and time again, and I think, not that George is not experienced, but Lewis just had it in him in that very moment.
There we go. It's 2 DNFs in the last 3 British Grand Prix for George Russell. It will be a difficult evening, I should imagine, for him, where you see the other side of the garage absolutely elated, and he goes home with nothing, having driven so well for the last few races. And you contrast that actually with the scene in behind us. We're just hearing Sebastian Vettel congratulating Lewis Hamilton over social media, great friends as they were. But yeah, in the back there we go, GOAT, congratulations, Lewis. They did have a special relationship, didn't they, those two?
Yeah, I mean, we're competitors, major competitors, obviously fighting for world championships for many years together.
Huge respect. And Sweet Caroline that was belting out of the stadium yesterday when England went through to the semi-finals has been latched on 2-2 here. It feels like, I mean, it's a great weekend for English sport if you're English, isn't it, Jensen?
Oh, it's fantastic.
You wear your English underpants?
Yes, yes, Lazenby.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. It just shows you. I mean, this is a team that has been, I mean, it has been just a journey, hasn't it? Let's go back to the end of 2021, because That was it, and I pointed towards it at the end there. It's just, it does feel like a release of emotion because he didn't have the car to fight back.
Look, it's been a while since he won a race. I mean, the whole time I've worked in Formula One, I've not seen Lewis Hamilton stand on top of the podium. That's been almost 3 years now. So
you have now.
I have now. I felt like I'd been sold a dream. But anyway, I mean, it's great to see him back up there, and you can see just how much it means to the team as well. I mean, to have ended 2021 on such a terrible, bitter note, and then to not be able to come back and fight back and prove yourself and, you know, claim that back must be really, really hard. And I think you could see all of that emotion coming out in this moment.
I'm so happy his parents were here. Both of them were here to celebrate with him, because this is one of those moments in time. Even though he's won 104 races, this is going to be one of those most special races, because it's more towards the end of his career, and he's just shown the world how good he is.
Shall we hear from him? Here he is.
Let's do it.
Oh, Lewis. This is unbelievable. There's something magical about you and Silverstone. It's like a fairy tale. It almost feels surreal to be standing here talking to you as a winner here.
It is surreal.
I mean, it's just incredible, though. Just tell me, like, the thoughts going through your mind now and you're processing it all.
My heart's racing. I think this had so many amazing times here in the past, but when I came across that line, something released in me that I guess I've been holding on to for a long time, and it was the most emotional end to a win that I've ever experienced. I'd always wondered why I never cry. I used to see like Rubens Barrichello crying, you know, and I was like, yeah, it doesn't happen to me, but it hit me hard. I think after such a difficult 2021, just tried to continue to come back, but obviously we as a team have had a really difficult time, and there were just so many thoughts and so many doubts in my mind along the way, to the point of, you know, at times wanted to not continue, you know. So to arrive and to continue to get up and continue to try and finally succeed is honestly, it's the greatest feeling I can remember having.
It's amazing. Making me well up. What is it that you tap into to keep going in those low moments?
I think it's, look, I definitely know for sure that I couldn't do what I do without the fans that I have, the people that I get to interact with and meet around the world, and particularly here in the UK. I still can't believe, you know, growing up in Stevenage, when my dad came around the corner to give me my first helmet, I always thought my parents would be my only followers, you know, and like it's very, very incredible to have that support, because that really does lift you up when you see people and they're so generous, where they either gifting you something or just always just pumping out positive energy to you. So that's one thing that keeps me going. And the other is that just that glimpse of hope, like even if it's the tiniest speck, I just try to not ignore that and just continue to focus on, you know, my inner peace day by day.
It's a very strong message that you're sending anyone who's struggling out there in life generally, isn't it? Never to give up.
Never give up. Yeah, I think it's so important. It's the easiest thing to do, but you should never do it.
You must be so proud. Listen, from all of us, congratulations.
Thank you.
It means a lot to you, to the team, but also the whole nation. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And those doubts that he talked about there, and he's brought up a couple of times in both the interviews and yours as well, Jensen. I wonder if that's what drove him to think he needed to change team as well, a change of environment. And now the irony of it, that Mercedes seem to be improving.
Yeah, sometimes you do need a little switch. You need something to change, so you're hungry again, really, as well. We've seen many drivers do it and then perform at a better level, like Sebastian Vettel, for example. But no, it's an interesting one for him tonight when he goes to bed. Hopefully, after a few beers, he's going to be thinking about his future a little bit.
Yeah.
Was that the right decision or not? But, you know, it could be the Lewis effect. He could go there and suddenly they're on an upturn. So.
Yeah. but he's found his mojo, no doubt about it.
He's found his mojo. We also know, I mean, a couple of races ago, we wouldn't have expected a double back-to-back win for Mercedes, so things can change so quickly in this game. And he's got the longest standing relationship with the race team in Formula One history. So I think, as Jensen says, it's nice to refresh things, try something different. Particularly, I mean, I don't know if he's going to love the stat, Crofty mentioned it earlier, but he's become the oldest race winner in the 21st century.
Yeah.
So he's towards the tail end of his career, so you might want to try something different. I mean, to race for Ferrari is an honor, but right now I think they've just got to focus on ending the season fantastically with Mercedes.
He's not the oldest on the grid though, is he? He just has to look at
Fernando
Alonso. Right, okay, let's unpack some of the other stories. We'll come back to Mercedes, obviously, but yeah, as far as McLaren were concerned, some indecision it seemed actually between the soft and the medium for Norris on that final pit stop, Karun.
There was, Simon, but you know what? So much happened in that race. I think we should all just have a little recap, because 5 drivers could have won this Grand Prix. Let's go back to the start. Lando Norris on 3rd position on the grid. They all got pretty similar getaways, really, up at the front. But when we got through the first couple of corners, Norris had Verstappen to his right. And then when we come up to the 3rd corner, he's on the outside of Lewis, and it just ends up squeezed wide onto that curve. That costs him momentum. Look for the right. Verstappen gets the run around the outside, so Norris drops back to 4th, but it's a Mercedes 1-2, and at this stage, they're looking pretty handy. Just behind, Piastri went with Norris in this first stint, so McLaren had both cars in play. Now, fast forward to lap 15. Norris makes the move on Max Verstappen. But look further up ahead, the Mercedes are gone. They're starting to check out. Verstappen didn't have the pace in the first stint. I talked to his race engineer, Giampiero Lambiase, and he was saying we just didn't have it in the first stint up against the other cars. The Mercedes cars have gone. Norris goes past Verstappen. He sets after the 2 Mercs. Now, as you guys said earlier, when the rain started coming down a few laps later, McLaren looked like they had more grip and they had more pace. But up at the front, George Russell, first car on track. He was the first one experiencing the conditions, and he didn't have the confidence. This is where Lewis Hamilton seized the initiative in the inter-Mercedes battle. He took the lead, and at this point, he is now in control of this Grand Prix. Few corners later, get up to turn 1, Abbey, the first corner, the rain is falling down, and look up at the front. Both Mercedes off the track. Just behind them, Lando stays on, but Oscar went off as well. And at this point, George still struggling, still doesn't have the confidence. Lando gets right up behind him as we get up to the loop. He goes for the wet line on the outside, does George, but Lando sneaks up past him, finds the grip, and gets going towards the other Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton. And just a lap later, as I said before, the McLarens looked like they had more grip. So all of a sudden, the initiative and the lead of this Grand Prix goes to Lando Norris. He is now in command, and actually he started scampering away. He built up about a 3.5 second gap. The rain stopped and then came back again. So around lap 27, we saw drivers making the call for intermediate tires. Max Verstappen, he was struggling in those drizzly conditions, made the early call to go onto the intermediate tires there and came out of the pits. Now, look here, Oscar Piastri has got right up to the back of Norris. He had great pace as well in those intermediate conditions. And the Mercedes had dropped further behind. They were struggling a bit more than McLaren. McLaren brought Norris in first, and Mercedes boxed on the same lap. Norris did the right thing, put the intermediates on. He came back out in front. Mercedes did the right thing by doing a double stack. Now, McLaren left Piastri up. And this is the point at which Piastri fell out of contention. George ended up with that water issue. We heard from him earlier, so he was out of contention. That's 2 drivers gone. McLaren, that was a mistake. They could have double stacked, lost maybe a 1.5 seconds, and kept Piastri in contention. The next round of stops to go back on the slicks. The sun's come out, as you can see. Hamilton comes in, goes for this used soft tire. So he's gone out there to try and get some temperature into the soft. Red Bull have gone for the contra strategy, gone for the hard tire. Now watch this. I'll just pause and play it along. Norris comes into the box, goes long, and that was crucial. They have gone also onto a used soft set of tires. We'll look from overhead. There, you can see, is where he should have parked, and there is where he ended up. So going long cost him 2 seconds, and that meant that when he came out of the pits, it was about 1.9 to Lewis. So that cost him track position. So that's the first thing. They've handed track position over to Hamilton. Here you can see Lewis coming out of the pits, and that gap there is that 2-second deficit. So that's where Norris lost out. But strategically, this is where McLaren made a mistake. We heard on the radio they were saying, should we cover Lewis with the soft? Should we cover Verstappen with the hard? Personally, I believe they should have done their best strategy. And their best strategy was to put on a new medium. They did it with Piastri. Norris suffered on that set of soft tyres. Round the outside for Verstappen, candy from a baby. But at this stage, we heard from Pete Bonington, Lewis had the initiative. He had the speed. He had broken away that gap, and he managed to hold on to it. Norris was suffering on those soft tyres. What is worth remembering is when they came out of the pits in that final stint, Piastri was 15 seconds behind Norris. He gained 10 seconds in that last stint. If McLaren had put Norris onto a set of new mediums, even if he'd come out behind Lewis, against Lewis on a set of used softs, I think Lando Norris would have won that Grand Prix.
Okay, mate. Hamilton, Red Bull have pitted.
But how's the soft? Anyone on it?
On the outlap, soft doesn't look quick yet for the people that have done it.
Yeah, I feel like it has to be a softer. It's still pretty wet.
Oh, it did seem strange at the time, didn't it, to be having that kind of open conversation so close to the pit stop. Do you think they threw it away?
Well, they did. I think Karoom was right. 10 seconds is what Piastri gained on running the medium tyre compared to Lando. Even if it was 2 or 3 seconds, it's better to be on that tyre. It's a safer tyre. And it was such a close call. You know, if Lando got that pit stop spot on, he would have come out alongside Lewis on hot softs. So the likelihood is Lewis would have had the advantage anyway. And being on the same tyre, it's very difficult to make the pass, especially with the graining issues they have on the front tyre. So, yeah, should have been on the medium.
It's not been the only race either. Is this, I suppose, a result of being back at the sharp end now? You know, you are being pressurised to make the right calls. There is effectively, they're still in the championship running. Is that now, because they're at the front, not been there for a while? Do we just see this happen a little bit more often when teams haven't been there for a while?
There is an element of that. I also think it's a shift of the mindset that needs to happen. Like, they keep working and deciding on whether they want to be on the offense or on the defense. And I think Lando keeps time and time again deciding to fight for the victory rather than covering off other drivers who are further down. And I think that they have to stop being insecure about that decision. They have to make up their minds from the get-go, what are you fighting for here? And when they get more into believing in themselves and believing that they actually are in the running for all these victories, then they'll start to make more confident decisions.
Could have been the last 4 races.
Yeah, I mean, look, in Austria they made the right tyre choice, so they're not always getting it wrong. They were made to make the right tyre choice because they didn't have any of the other tyre left. But they had a new medium, is that correct, for this?
They did, yeah.
That's definitely the tyre.
Well, I mean, the fact we're talking about it means that it's tied to the top, isn't it? And that's what we're loving at the moment. Fantastic racing, there really is, as this season moves to the midpoint. Let's hear from both of the McLaren drivers, starting with Lando.
Oh, Lando, it feels a little bit like another missed opportunity. I know you were very gracious in not taking the win by congratulating Lewis, but any regrets about how the team and you approached today's race?
Many.
Go on.
No, just the 2 at the end. Just what tyre to box onto, and a lap too late. I think the lap too late is completely on me. That's just driver feel and driver knowledge of when to box, and Lewis did a better job than me on that side. We boxed into the soft, and that's a team call. That's between the team and it's between me. Yeah, so many good parts, but again, just a couple which let us down and threw away the win, so pretty disappointed.
What was the thinking behind the choice of the soft? Why did
Lewis was on it, so he won the race.
Yeah.
It's not the wrong call, but we're terrible on soft tyres as a team.
Why do you think that?
Just because of the car balance and how it works. We've always been bad on that kind of tyre. Mercedes have always been very good, so almost had no chance of ever beating them. I expected to come out ahead of the Mercedes. I didn't. Even if I came out ahead, I wouldn't have won the race because we were too slow. So I don't know.
I mean, you live and learn and hopefully move forwards with all of these experiences of racing at the front. This is still a podium at the British Grand Prix.
I know, but I'm fed up of just saying I should have done better and I should have done this and I could have done that and whatever. So I don't care. If it takes time, I don't want it to take time. I should be doing it now. We should be winning now. I should be making better decisions than what I'm making. So yeah, I'm just disappointed. It's a win. It's a win in Formula One, and I'm not going to settle for something less when we should have achieved it.
This is all part of the journey, though, right?
Sorry?
Being very hard on yourself. It is
I'm not. I'm just. Should we won a race today? Yes.
Yeah.
Did we? No. So I'm not going to be happy with another third place. Lost more points to Max, so I'm not going to be happy with that. Plenty of good things, like there's the positives, yes, but I'm only going to be satisfied with the end result, and I'm not. So I'm not going to be happy in the end of the day.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the positives is that you're not happy with a third, which, you know, a year ago you'd have taken.
I know.
My arm.
When you look at it like that, of course, and sometimes we've got to remind ourselves to think like that. But we're also here because it's where we deserve to be now, and we're fighting at the top. We're fighting the good guys, the smarter people, and for me, they've done a better job than us.
Yeah, bad luck today. Don't beat yourself up too much. Oh, well, I mean, I can tell by your body language already that you're disappointed with that. Ultimately, did it come down to staying out just that extra lap too long? How much of an impact did that have on you?
Yeah, that was definitely the unfortunate turning point of our race, really. I think we need to review what we could have done better there, because, you know, clearly it wasn't the right call in the end. So yeah, I think we did everything else right in that race. I think our pace was phenomenal. Just I feel like we've had too many weekends recently where we came out of it thinking we should have had a much better result.
That is something that you can presumably work on in the debrief. The really encouraging signs are that you are really quick in these mixed conditions. So really, this isn't track specific, is it? You're going to be strong everywhere.
I think we've got the hardest part nailed, to be honest. We've got a really quick car, and it's consistently quick everywhere. We just need to give ourselves a better chance of using it. I think we've had the potential to win a lot of races recently, so we just need to capitalize on that.
Thank you, well done.
Thank you.
Well, Andrea, it's another podium. So many calls you got right today. Were there a couple of moments maybe that you would have changed a decision with a bit of retrospect?
Yes, I think you're right. Difficult condition, mixed, many calls to be made. Many were right, but there were a couple that in hindsight we would do differently. I think we have to acknowledge that in giving one more lap with Oscar, we lost a lot of time before going on to the intermediate tires. We didn't want to lose the time in the double shuffle, but in hindsight would have been the right thing to do. And the second call is that with Lando we should have gone on medium tires at the end rather than trying to match Lewis. I think it would have been safer to be competitive at the end of the race, and even if Lewis had been ahead after the stop, then I think we would have had our shot at the end of the race with more consistent tires. It's easy in hindsight. They are all opportunities to grow and improve as a team. I think overall it's great once again for McLaren to be in a podium finish. Oscar P4, many points, important for both championships. And I would like to thank all the men and women at McLaren for making this possible.
Indeed, yeah. With Lando, he was a little long in the box, wasn't he, when he came in because Ferrari were in? It's small differences like that. And was it the sort of to and fro, the discussion with Lando? Do you think we should cover Lewis on the soft, or should we go with the medium? In future, maybe, do you feel like just saying, do you know what, we're going to make the decision?
I think you're right, even in this situation. For both Oscar not going one more lap and Lando not going on soft but actually going on medium, it should have been a call of the pit wall. So we take the responsibility for this. The drivers, they already keep themselves quite busy in keeping the car on track in these conditions. The pit wall have more information. It's for us to make this call. And like I say, we will grow and learn, but we are also excited and encouraged that we keep being competitive and fighting at the front. So yeah, a bit of a bitter sweet day, because we know we could have win this race, but ultimately many positives, and we take it from here for looking forward to the next events.
You've certainly played your part in a thrilling Grand Prix, so well on the podium. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, they did, and they're extremely honest with themselves. He's that kind of leader, isn't he, Andreas Stella? Zach's obviously been, you know, they'll look at themselves, they'll be introspective. Picking up on what Oscar Piastri said there, you know, we've done the hard part, we've nailed a very fast race car, but as Lando said, could we have won this race? Should we have run this race? Yes. Did we? No. It's the operational side of things they're going to have to work on.
They've been on the podium consecutively for the last 8 Grand Prix, so they've clearly got it right. I mean, they've got a car that's competitive, that's there constantly all the time. It suits a lot of different racetracks, but now it's about the finessing of all the details and getting that whole full package to work together. And I think it's an element of working also with the drivers. Andrea's clearly making a big difference at the team. Lando's had incredible words about him, and he's put a lot of the praise to the change of the way the team is operating to Andrea. There'll be lots to learn here for them. I think it's one too many times where they've almost won and they just haven't made it come together.
And Lando extremely crestfallen. And when you come into the British Grand Prix with the build-up, you're quickest in the first 2 practice sessions. He'd never done that in his career. He knows it's the one that got away, and you don't get all that many chances, do you, with a very competitive car to win the home Grand Prix?
Yeah, correct. But I think Lando needs to be a little bit careful with his emotions, because he's putting himself down massively. And I think, you know, the last race, this race, and it can spiral so easily out of control. And we know how important it is to have your head in the right place. He's so talented. I don't want him to be too down on himself so that he's not back up there in the next race. And competitive side of things, he's not, he shouldn't be so down on himself.
Well, at the end of the day, I think what he said and what he pointed out last time round when Max finished 5th and he didn't finish in the points is that Max is extending his lead, and he's done it again with that overtake, with the decision they made. He's gained another 3 points, and so it is 84, the difference now between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris in behind him. Right, we must tell you about what else is coming your way on Sky Sports, and there is plenty in the near future across the network. Tonight's IndyCar, the race is Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio. That's from 6:30 on the main channel, Sky Sports F1. PGA Tour Golf, Aaron Ride 2 off the lead in the John Deere Classic Day 4. That's now on Sky Sports Golf. England against the West Indies, the first test, Jimmy Anderson's final test from Lords, 10 AM on Wednesday. Sky Sports Cricket, not one you want to miss if you're a cricket fan. And all episodes available now on Sky Documentaries of Beat the Narcos. What a British Grand Prix it has been, and it ended with victory for Lewis Hamilton, his 9th at Silverstone.
You definitely get like a serious positive vibe when you're at the Silverstone Grand Prix. Just you harness that.
Lewis, we never give up. We never give up.
Listen to the crowd. And Hamilton gives the British fans some British cheer.
These guys are the best.
8 times we've said it before. Here's a 9th for you. Lewis Hamilton wins the British Grand Prix. What a victory. Hamilton is back.
Thank you so much, guys. It means a lot. It means a lot to get this one.
Those new tiles are falling right into place until you run out of, what are those called again? Oh, right. The Home Depot app is made for doing that doesn't miss a beat, so you can find what you need fast and keep things moving in the right direction. For doing that doesn't stop, download the Home Depot app. It's made for doing.
Coco Golf, ready for play now.
The pasta taste you love with the energy you want. Barilla Protein Plus.
Good to go?
Good to go.
Are we good to go?
From great gas to great deals, with Citgo, you're always good to go.
8 times we've said it before. Here's a 9th for you. Lewis Hamilton wins the British Grand Prix. What a victory. Hamilton is back.
Superb. What a superb drive. Such difficult conditions, kept it all pointing in the right direction. Lost out here, gained there, but when it mattered, He crossed the line first.
Oh dear. I think Crofty enjoyed that one, didn't he? It's been quite the weekend. The emotions getting the better of him. And also of his mum, Carmen. There we go. Lovely moment between them. Let's hear from his dad, Anthony. Talk to Ted.
Anthony, just before you go, take a breath. I'm well. How are you? Take a breath if you can.
How crazy was that?
But I bet you had no doubt, even with Max on potentially a harder wearing tyre, whether it was the better, who knows? Lewis still won the race. I bet you had no doubt that once he was in that P1, there was nobody who was going to take it away from him.
He was never going to give that up, you know, and you just had to watch the times, you know. It was a 10th here, a 10th there. And it didn't matter what was happening, you know, Lewis was in full control. There's absolutely no way with that current car and the tyres he had underneath him that he was going to allow that win to slip the British public, you know, and that's what drove him on.
Was there something, we were having a discussion in the office this morning, and I said to my producer, we were talking about who's going to win. Some people picked Max, some people picked Lando. It's just something about the weekend, Lewis's approach. We both said, do you know what, today is a day for Lewis. Did you feel that as well?
Well, I always feel it, because I always know it. At the end of the day, Lewis was, second yesterday. He was disappointed with himself. It was like, I could have done better.
You mean yesterday after qualifying?
After qualifying, and so, yeah, he goes home, refocuses, comes back, and you know that he's calculated everything, and he's waiting for for the environment to change. And when the environment changes, he's in his element.
And who knows what the rest of the year can be, but it's also good for the team. Let's not beat about the bush. It's great for them. They've worked extremely hard. As good as it is for Lewis to be back on that step, it's great for them. They've won 2 in a row.
Yeah. It's great for the team. It's great for the British public because I can't believe it. I'm driving through the crowds, and these guys have got shorts, t-shirts, waiting for the great British weather. But everybody's still here. No one's complaining, and they're all looking forward to a great weekend. And so how proud do we feel to be able to provide that for them? So so it's important for the British crowd, but it's also great for motorsport, isn't it?
And Lewis's reaction after, I bet you could understand it. Just to sort of, sometimes a pressure relief valve needs to be let off.
Pressure relief valve, that's all that was, yeah. And you know something, it's always good to be there, isn't it? It's good to be there. So, yeah. Thanks very much anyway.
Very happy for you and everybody, the whole family. Congrats today, thank you.
That is the take-home, isn't it? He knows racing so well. He's been there and such a huge part of Lewis getting to where he is today. And he said he was in full control. Those are the kind of conditions that Lewis excels at. Whilst others are losing their heads all around him, he doesn't. I suppose that's been one of his best traits over the years, isn't it?
It has. It's sad to hear that he's lost a little bit of that confidence in himself, but today he proved that he's still got it. I mean, in those tricky conditions, you've got to rely on your instinct to some extent. And I mean, seat time, as we know, is the most valuable thing in motorsport, and he's had plenty of it. And today is a day where that experience and that talent really shines through.
Yeah, I mean, the pace wasn't as good as the McLarens in those tricky conditions, but he got the best out of what he had. And that's the important thing with Lewis. He's maximizing what he has from the car. A little bit of luck from the McLaren making a couple of mistakes, but, to make the call to go to slicks, that's a tough decision when you're fighting for a victory, and he made the right call to go to slicks, and that's what won him the race.
Well done to Lewis Hamilton, as I said, 9-time winner here at Silverstone. Now let's hear from the championship leader, Max Verstappen, in second today.
Oh, Max, that was so exciting to watch. You seemed to make all the right decisions when it came to tyre choice, right tyre, right time. Just tell us about it from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, of course, at the start, I couldn't keep up. Like, the Mercedes were pulling away from me, then also the McLarens came by. So yeah, we're struggling a lot for pace and deck especially, I think. So that is of course a little bit disappointing. But then yeah, we did make the right calls from the slicks to the inters back to slicks, and basically that just kept me in the race. Luckily, because at one point I was looking at P5, I was like, well, it's going to be a long afternoon. But then also the team made the right call with the hard tire, while the others went onto the soft. That for us would have never worked because of looking already at the deck that we had on the medium. And yeah, then I just pushed as hard as I could till the end. Of course, my tires still decked a bit, but I could close the gap down a bit, which was enjoyable till the end. I mean, we really maximized this result. And of course, I'm happy to finish second considering the pace that we had. because it could have been also much worse.
Yeah, I mean, that must be satisfying to come away with a second place. I mean, it kind of sounds counterintuitive saying it to you when you've won as much as you have, but coming into the weekend and the problems in qualifying yesterday, this is actually a very strong day for you, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we maximize everything, and that's the only thing that we could do today. We were not really there, you know, on pure performance, but then if that's a bad race, you know, and still be second, I take that because I don't think many teams can do that on a bad day, so we just have to hang in there because, of course, we have a good lead in the championship, but we have to try and go out from our own strengths, you know, and at the moment we don't really have that. So yeah, we have a bit of work to do.
Well done, Max. Thanks a lot. Oh, Checo, what a tough weekend. I bet you just want to draw a line under it and move forward, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. It's been, we tried it. We gambled a bit with intermediate, hoping for more rain, and it didn't come. In the end, we ended up boxing again because the tire was completely gone, and yeah, we have to do it again. So yeah, very unfortunate, but we tried it. And we were just not lucky there to be able to make it work.
But ultimately, that's what you have to do in these kind of conditions, isn't it? Throw a bit of caution to the wind. Try something different, start it from the pit lane. Sometimes it just doesn't pay off.
Yeah, exactly. I think it just didn't pay off. I just think from the position we were, we had to gamble, and we just tried it. We just tried to do our very best.
I'd like today.
Thank you.
Christian, it was a race where 5 drivers looked like they could have won it. You guys didn't look like you had the ultimate pace. I think Max in the first stint was struggling when the rain came down. So do you think second was the best really you could have had today?
It was, and we nearly ended up winning it. So it was a bizarre race. I mean, the first part of the race, we just didn't have the pace on the medium tyre, and you'd have to say Mercedes looked like they got it under control. Then the rain came, and suddenly McLaren took over, and they looked like they got control, and we were dropping off the back of it. And at that point, I was worried about Carlos Sainz, you know, who was starting to have a go at Max. But I think we got a call to go onto the Inter at the right time. That 1 lap extra on the Inter, well, whilst it leapfrogged us into third, I think we damaged the tyre a bit on that lap, and then we were, until the others had started to get some deg as well, you know, we dropped off and our pace didn't look great. But then at that point we started coming back, and things leveled out, and it was about, you know, which tyre do you take for the final stint, and we'd seen that the soft, you know, hadn't looked great. It had done 6 or 7 laps before it was falling apart with other cars at the beginning of the race. So we went for the hard tyre. I mean, we thought that was our best chance.
So for you, it was a no-brainer to avoid the soft, it sounds like. Were you surprised then that McLaren went with the soft? Because that's how Max got ahead of Lando at the end, wasn't it?
Well, they had a new medium in the pocket. I mean, Mercedes didn't have that. We didn't have that. They had that, and I think, wow, you know, I would fully expect to see a yellow set of tyres go on there, and maybe they'll look back with hindsight. But you've got to congratulate Lewis today. You know, it's been a while since he's won a race. He's a fierce competitor, and I know this one means a lot to him. So a popular win and a well-deserved win for him today.
Now listen, it's been a disappointing weekend again for Checo. We can't hide from that fact. Little Birdie tells me that Liam Lawson's doing a filming day in the near future. He's also got a tyre test coming up with Alpha Tauri. Are these auditions? I mean, you guys ran Daniel last year as an audition and stuck him in a race seat. Well, what's going on?
Well, those tests have been planned for some time, so they're not something that have just sprung up. They've been planned for, you know, a couple of months now. So you know, Liam is our test and reserve driver. That's his job. But I think Checo, you know, it's been a horrible weekend for him. You know, we took some risk. We went for a set of inters with the first bit of rain, expecting a bit more to come. I think Ferrari did the same with Charles. The rain took another 10 minutes to get there, and it was one of those calls that you can either win a lot or lose a lot, and unfortunately Checo lost a lot at that point, but the pace just wasn't quite there today.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Well, nice touch here, by the way, between 2 fierce rivals, as they have been in the past, with Max giving him the thumbs up and a congratulations to Lewis. So that's lovely to see. Let's talk, though, if we could, about Sergio Perez, because, you know, there is a constructors to compete for. Yes, they're still at the top there, but he's leaking points every single week. How big a problem is it for them now?
Massive. And it's a massive issue at the moment. This was just a terrible weekend. It was unlucky in some ways as well. This isn't going to happen every race weekend, but McLaren to be taking that many points out of them this weekend, it's big. And you know, Mercedes obviously didn't have 2 cars that finished, but if the reliability was there, again, it would have been a big chunk. Mercedes would have taken out Red Bull. So they're on the back foot. I think they're the 3rd highest scoring team at the moment over the last sort of 5 or 6 races. So yeah, he needs to be scoring some points at least, even if he's not finishing right behind Max.
They did a contract extension, and the pattern of this season is mirroring exactly what happened last year. Started well, tailed off, a few good ones at the end, but it's a problem now that it's more competitive. And that other teams are consistently performing with both of their drivers. You know?
And not only because it's more competitive, but also because the Red Bull is nowhere near as dominant as it was in the past. Max has been really having to outdrive the potential of that car, and Checo just hasn't been able to do the same thing. But it's true that we saw exactly the same thing last year, and what I don't understand is why a contract extension would not give him more confidence, rather than, you know, what last year we sometimes felt he was overdriving to prove himself. He's not having to do that. He's been guaranteed the seat, so
we don't know what's in that contract, actually, and that's what Christian was saying to us when we chatted to him after that practice session. But, I mean, maybe they will pull drivers. We've seen it in the past, and they'll do it at a moment's notice.
There'll be performance clauses in there for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, not that he said he was going to tell us anyway, but that's going to be putting pressure under him anyway. But inevitably, they made that decision to keep him. That in itself should have given him the confidence boost, rather than whatever toll it's clearly taken on him now.
I mean, they can't let it go on forever. I mean, if the next race he's not scoring points again, I think soon enough they've got to get him out of the car and put someone else in. They can. It's tough. I know it's not a nice feeling for a driver. It's horrible, but for them, the manufacturers' championship is important.
100%. I mean, this is Formula One after all. And you do drive to survive. The man of the day, Lewis Hamilton, in the presser shortly.
I think ultimately because it's been such a long time. It's been 900 and someone just told me 946 days or something like that since the last win. And, you know, really challenging, you know, difficult time obviously 2021, and then coming back in with a car that we've not been able to fight with for the last couple of years. I think just it's been incredibly mentally challenging, I think, for everyone in the team. But I think just knowing how hard everyone's continued to work, knowing how, you know, I've managed just to keep my head in it, and then with everything that's happened this year as well, with so many emotions this year, obviously announcing that I'm leaving, and at the same time starting with a car that we didn't feel that we could win with, to then finally be in a place where we win, and not only that, but at the British Grand Prix in front of my home crowd. There's honestly, it's the most incredible honor to be standing on the top of the podium and doing the national anthem with the King's name in it and be thankful. And that's the first time I've had that. So yeah, and then also my family's here.
Brilliant stuff. Remember the words. Well done, Lewis. 150th podium finish for Mercedes. 199th career podium finish for him. All sorts of records dropping today, but that won't matter. What will matter is the fact that he is back to winning ways, and he did it, as he said there, in front of his family.
Those new tiles are falling right into place until you run out of, what are those called again? Oh, right. The Home Depot app is made for doing that doesn't miss a beat. So you can find what you need fast and keep things moving in the right direction. For doing that doesn't stop, download the Home Depot app. It's made for doing.
Choice Hotels is a family of brands that helps you get the most for your money so you can be any traveler you want to be.
You could be a free hot breakfast hero at a comfort hotel.
Yes!
That's how you waffle.
Mr. This script got a plot twist at a Radisson hotel. A business big leaguer. Go for key.
Even the ultimate pool float inflator.
With 22 brands and the best value for your money, Choice Hotels has a stay for any you. Stay twice and get a $50 gift card when you book direct at choicehotels.com. Gotta get the corners.
British
Mercedes want to.
There he goes.
Here he goes, Lando Norris past Max Verstappen and back up into third place. George Russell's vulnerable. George Russell's seen his Mercedes teammate go into Stowe corner and take the lead. Both Mercedes going off there, leaving the track, coming back on, and as they come back on, Lando Norris is right on the tail of George Russell, and there is Lando Norris getting past the Mercedes.
We've got Norris down the pit straight on Hamilton.
Lando Norris leads the British Grand Prix. This is just brilliant at Silverstone.
This is our time.
Copy that, Max.
Lewis is coming in. Max Verstappen is pitting.
We need the Fox, the soft inverter now. Any sleep tire.
Lando Norris comes out onto the racetrack. Lewis Hamilton is in the lead of the British Grand Prix.
So Norris, same tyre. Leave me to it, mate.
We see signs of damage on the front left for the cars ahead.
Oh, those soft tyres starting to degrade a little bit. Norris is starting to struggle here. Verstappen's gaining. Norris wants him to go round the outside. Verstappen goes round the outside. 8 times we've said it before. Here's a ninth for you. Lewis Hamilton wins the British Grand Prix. What a victory. Hamilton is back.
Get in there, Lewis! You're the man! Oh, mate, I have been waiting for this. Thank you so much, guys. It means a lot. It means a lot to get this over. A big thank you to all the fans here. Love you guys.
Nobody has ever won a Grand Prix beyond their 300th start. This was Lewis Hamilton's 344th Grand Prix. His 12th consecutive Silverstone podium, his 9th victory here. An amazing record. Max Verstappen was chasing him down towards the end, but in the end, 1.4 seconds off his great rival. Lando Norris disappointed, made the wrong decision to go on to those softs, and it cost him in the end. Still onto the podium again for him. Oscar Piastri, he suffered with the double stack. He finished just off it. Then Carlos Sainz. It was an awful day for his teammate Charles Leclerc. Nico Hülkenberg, though, just about 8 seconds behind the works Ferrari. Amazing performance from him. We'll hear from him in a few moments' time. Stroll, Alonso, Albon and Tsunoda making up the rest of the top 10. Further down, there were 2 retirees. Pierre Gasly, before the start, he had some real issues with his car. George Russell retiring because of that problem. So disappointing for him when he secured pole position, the 3rd of his career. So what it means to these standings is this. Halfway through the season, Max Verstappen extending his lead by 3 further points to 84 over a very disappointed Lando Norris. Charles Leclerc is 21 points behind him, but again, a horrible day for him, finishing in 14th place today. Carlos Sainz 4 behind his teammate, Oscar Piastri 22 behind him. Sergio Perez down to 6th in the table. Another horrible day at the office for him. Russell now just 1 point ahead of today's winner, Lewis Hamilton. Stroll finishing ahead of Fernando Alonso. Decent day for Aston Martin, finishing in 7th and 8th. Hülkenberg, though, undoubtedly one of the drivers of the day, finishing in 6th and up to 11th in the drivers. Constructors, as we mentioned, Sergio Perez needs to start picking up points. The situation getting serious from his side of the Red Bull garage right now. Ferrari within 71. McLaren have closed the gap on them to 7 points. But just look at Haas, now within 4 of RB. A lot of that down to the work of Nico Hülkenberg.
We'll fight back to get back to where you started. Another huge haul of points for the team. You must be delighted.
Yes, very, very happy. 8 more points on the board, super valuable. But more importantly, you know, the performance. The performance is there with this update, and that, you know, makes me very happy and optimistic looking, into the rest of the remainder of the season. I think we're definitely in the fight now for the 5th fastest team, which is obviously very, very positive, and you know, nobody really expected a couple of weeks ago. So very encouraging and very positive.
That's a huge step to be able to say, isn't it? To be saying the 5th best team. Did you feel that then as you were cutting back through the field? You always felt like you had a car that you could actually go back after, even after you lost all those points, those places rather.
Yeah, it was super tricky race, you know, with the rain at the beginning, but not enough to pit for inters, but you know, really like a thriller to judge the grip level, not knowing what you get when you turn in. you know, around here with high-speed corners and the grip like this, it was you know, Russian roulette in a way. But yeah, managed to stay clean and got back what we lost at the start. So yeah, well deserved.
Great, congrats.
Well, can we have a word? I'm so pleased that Gene is actually in Austria. He was here to see your P6, and here he's here to see your P6. Yeah, congrats.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm just very happy for everyone. You know, it's been lots of hard work, obviously lots of questions about upgrades. Look at that, you know, guys delivered. You know, I always believe that we got amazing people at the factory, and then it was a matter of putting it together, and then this is a proof. You know, Nico qualifying P6, and this condition is pretty difficult today, right? You have to fit the right tires at the right moment. Sounds simple, but it's not easy. But boys delivered, amazing. I can't be more proud. Amazing.
And all the right decisions at the right time. You weren't tempted by an early Inter. You went off the Inter at the right time as well. Was that you in conjunction with Nico, who's so good in these conditions?
But I think obviously drivers need a bigger picture. You know, when they see the rain, of course they see the rain, but how long is it lasting? Is it gonna get worse? You know, what is it after this period? How long have I got? So all that communication we've been working on. Okay, it wasn't perfect today, but still it's much better. You know, everybody's doing the job, working together. It's just a teamwork. That's honestly, it's so rewarding. I'm so happy for everyone in the team. You know, we are up against it, but look what we can deliver. It's amazing.
Where is this putting you in the constructors' battle, and who do you think you can aim for?
RB for sure. We scored what, 20 points in 2 races, so we are 27 points now, and the RB is 31. I think so. We're 4 points behind. So yeah, for sure, we have to aim for the next step. So yeah, P6 is our new target now. Yeah.
Great stuff. Well, listen, congratulations. Another fantastic result. Thank you.
Well, Gene trusted it to take over, and so far so good for IO and Haas this season.
Well, they've gone from last year to 7th, which is worth about $35 million. So for Gene Haas, so far that's looking like a very good decision. I know it's not just down to him, but IO, you know, I've said it before the season, I like the fact that he's so rooted in engineering. He's still actively involved in making the strategy calls like he was in Austria last time, which paid double points. So yeah, it's brilliant. It's great for the team, and Nico's driving so well.
Yeah, well, I'll come back to you on that. Yeah, the work of Nico Hulkenberg. Obviously, he's off at the end of the year, but criminally underrated sometimes. We talk about Nico.
It's such a funny one because, you know, I raced against him in Junior Formula in GP2 and stuff, and he was sensational. He was a champion in every category on the way. And it's just not translated to the success in Formula One, which is, it's been a bit confusing. But yeah, I think they'll miss him. I think they'll miss his leadership. It looks like Ocon's heading there, but they're going to miss his leadership, I think.
Okay, I'll come back to you guys shortly, but let's get through a few more interviews and hear from Ferrari. Not a great day for Charles Leclerc, Sainz finishing in 5th.
Carlos, coming into this race, it was going to be about damage limitation. You must be pretty pleased to have made up a couple of places and got the fastest lap for good measure at the end.
Yeah, a good bonus, I think, there at the end with the fastest lap for, I think, a very solid race, or one of the best races I've had in the last few years. We got all the pit stop calls right. We were very quick on mixed conditions. When the leaders were struggling, we managed to be in a race that it was not a race because they were very far ahead before that moment came, but I got max 7 or 8 seconds in 3 or 4 laps, and we managed to, for a moment, fight for a podium that in the end was not possible because we were just not quick enough. But very happy and proud of the team for all the right calls that we did together, and to be on a battle that maybe we were not meant to be.
Maybe not. Maybe it's fairer to say you didn't expect to be rather than meant to be. Because you worked very hard for it.
Yeah, we've worked really hard since practice to understand the weather, when to pit, when not to pit. We started to be on at different rain intensities, and we prepared well, and we executed almost a perfect race in terms of execution. Then obviously we were not quick enough, but I had fun out there today, and I was praising also my engineers and everyone for actually doing the best possible race that we could do.
That's great. Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Charles, a difficult day for you. Some really impressive early overtakes, but ultimately making perhaps the wrong call in terms of when you pitted.
Yes, we did. We went for an aggressive strategy which definitely didn't pay off. I was told the rain was coming very hard the lap after, which it only came 8 laps later, and we destroyed the Inters in those meantime, so that meant that we had to stop again. So again, a very difficult Sunday.
Just put us inside the cockpit. Whose decision is it? Is it yours? A feel? Or is it from the pit wall with all
It's
the
a
data?
mix. It's the feeling that I got, plus the informations that I get, and surely we've done something wrong today, but I'll be looking into it because it's been too many times I'm on the wrong side now in those conditions.
Any more insight into the performance of the car that you were concerned with coming into the race? Bad luck today.
So there we go, disappointment for Ferrari, but these are the scenes down at Mercedes where Lewis Hamilton celebrating with his team, the traditional team photo. It's not happened for a while. Not since Jeddah back in 2021, and you can see he's just been more emotional than I can remember after any victory. Certainly the time that we've been broadcasting this sport, he is just absolutely elated, and he takes now the British Grand Prix trophy up to the crowds who have stayed on the main pit straight here outside of the wing. And this is something we got used to, didn't we, during the glory years for him of the turbo hybrid era, getting up there, getting out onto the crowd, sometimes surfing, and that's what he's done now, where he's just in behind us now, and he's about to clamber onto that fence. So I hope delay there. So I couldn't really see what was happening, but there we are. He is making his way over there now. A good old Mercedes. They have had to wait a long time for this, Naomi.
Absolutely had to wait too long for this, and I think it means a lot for Lewis Hamilton fans. I think it means a lot for Lewis Hamilton, for the team, for his family. It's been a long time coming now.
It certainly has. Look at that gleaming trophy.
Beautiful, isn't it?
It's a beauty. There's no doubt about it.
This to me, it seems like a world championship, not just a race win to Lewis Hamilton. Do you know what I mean? It's massive for him. Winning the British Grand Prix for the 9th time.
Brazil 2021 seems such a long time ago, you know, the Saudi after that. You couldn't believe it for a guy who was a winning machine from the day he arrived in F1. I think that's why he was so emotional today, you know, more so than some of the championships.
He's going over, is he? He is. Oh, I don't know.
He's not going to take the trophy, so big, is he?
That's too precious. It's too precious. But yes, there we are. He just saluting the crowd because there's no doubt about it now. And he was. Lando and George are extremely popular. This guy's on another level because of what he's achieved over the years.
He's a hero to so many. Such a great story, the Lewis Hamilton story, and he's made a lot of young people, a lot of people all over the world dream, and I think it means a lot to all of them. But also, Lando and George have both come fresh off of wins this year, and Lewis hasn't had one for such a long time, so I think that's why this is being celebrated on the next level.
I think it was great to see Bono on the podium as well. You know, he lived a few miles from the circuit. They've been on that journey. I mean, it's got to say, as a driver-engineer pairing, unprecedented level of success together, isn't it? A number of wins and championships.
He's not really worked with many other drivers. The only other one's me, I think. So, and Michael Schumacher, yes, he's done okay.
What does this mean for Mercedes? Let's just contextualise everything that's happened today, Drew.
I think, Simon, this is a race where we expected it to be competitive because the circuit hasn't got those odd camber changes and elevation changes in Austria like we had in Austria, which hurt them. This is a track on pure aero performance, and they were competitive as they were, as they were expecting to be. So I think that's a big vote of confidence. Going to Budapest, they should be right in there.
Well, one thing we've learned from today is that the sport is in rude health because we've had lots of different winners so far this year, the latest of which, Lewis Hamilton. My thanks to Jensen, to Naomi, to Karun, and to all of you watching at home. What a story we have had here today for the 9th time, a record time at Silverstone. Lewis Hamilton has won the British Grand Prix. Bye-bye.
Silverstone. What do I need for Silverstone?